So we've got more and more areas of the country being subjecting to rising waters, and the government and Environment Agency are still squabbling a bit over their response to the crisis. The question hangs in the air: what more could we do? What should we be doing when it comes to flooding? Well, with me now to discuss this is Dr. Justin Butler, who's the Managing Director of Ambiental, that's a flood mapping risk consultancy, and Juliet Mountford, the Director of UK Services at British Red Cross. Juliet Mountford, you've already been, or your teams and members have been helping out all over the UK, haven't they, in recent days?
That's right. Yeah, we've had many staff and hundreds of volunteers out right across the country doing some simple work like checking on people within their homes to see that they're okay, carrying out welfare checks, making sure they've got the right contact numbers if they do need to leave. We've been helping transport lots of basics to those communities, such as the fuel, making sure they've got enough firewood, making sure there's enough basics like food, getting medication through. And we've also been preparing some rest centres so that if communities are evacuated suddenly, we're ready and we can help people in a crisis.
But the message from Raisbury would seem to be voluntary effort is fine up to a point. But these are not professionals and they've only got 24 hours in the day. There needs to be a second tier of help, doesn't there, when you've got a big emergency as we're experiencing this week?
What we at the British Red Cross and many other voluntary sector organisations who are out and about and on the ground helping is we try to make sure that we're well coordinated, that we're not separate from the main response from the police or the fire or the local authority, that we're integrated so that we can really be most helpful.
Justin Butler, give us an independent voice on this whole question of who's responsible. It's a rather undignified blame game being played out by the various government agencies. Could we do better, though, as a human race in preparing ourselves for these events?
Well, yes, I think we could do better. I mean, really, if we're looking at Somerset, I mean, the Romans first started cultivation of the Somerset levels and accepted that that part of the world would be flooded 2 or 3 months every winter. It's an area which is located largely below sea level. And whilst obviously dredging is a very visible method for improving the capacity of channels, really, it's the fact that so much of it is below sea level and depends upon pumping to actually keep those levels down and raise channels. There's only really so much that we can do. But I think certainly in terms of predicting the nature and the extent, the severity of flooding, there's more that we can do. And in the UK, we're very lucky in that we have a lot of data and computer modelling which we can rely on to improve those predictions, both for local governments and homeowners.
Have we done wise investments? Have we made wise investments in the recent past? Well, I'm thinking of the stretch of the Thames particularly. A lot of money went into a Jubilee River, a bypass, if you like, for the River Thames that protected Maidenhead and Bray and bits of Dorney. Local people downstream feel that was money wasted because here we are, we've got a lot of rain and suddenly they're being flooded.
Sure, well, I think, we really need to start move from working against nature to working with it. And any engineered solution which involves flood walls or defending one part of a catchment is really just pushing the problem further downstream. So while some areas have been protected by the Jubilee channel, other areas will be impacted. And seeing as there's only finite resources to be deployed for flood defence, we need to start looking at other softer measures, such as sustainable urban drainage systems, so areas for detaining water before it actually goes into the drainage network to reduce the responsiveness, the flashiness of catchments.
Just explain that to us. What would that entail us doing?
Well, as part of new developments, we can install solutions like pavements, or swales, as they're called, small lakes to really drain and detain runoff waters, which are coming from new developments, before they are discharged into the drainage network. Because in addition to climate change and increased rainfall, we also have to look at urbanization, tarmacking over driveways. All these kind of effects are contributing to the problem in our towns and cities. So really, improving planning, awareness, and ensuring that water is better managed in our catchments.
Juliet Mountford, the human resource available to help, are we managing that, or are we relying too much on officialdom? You know, somebody else should sort it out, the government should sort it out, the council should sort it out. We like to blame other people, don't we?
I think that what's happened in the Somerset levels, if you look at the last month or so, really fantastic response from the community, an enormous reliance on each other for help and support. And I think it would be fantastic if we were able to kind of practice our response or ensure that our communities most at risk are resilience by rehearsing responses to flooding, for example.
Juliet Mountford, thank you very much indeed, and Dr. Justin Butler as well on a Skype link this evening. Thank you, sir, as well too.